Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week we're going to finish off the machine room down at Menning Sheds. See you in a minute. Now, when we left the machine room last week, we got it walls up roughly, framework about half clad, I think, up from the ground up, and I'd put the joists on ready to start with the decking. So this week we're going to carry on, take it through to the effectively completion, although it's not, it's more of a practical completion, if you like, in that the place is now usable, but obviously there is still weeks and weeks and weeks of work to do. The reason it had to be finished reasonably quickly was to get people back into the shed, because without the materials there and without the workshop being able to be used, you find people get bored, they'll find other things to do if they can't do anything down at the shed, and your numbers will drop off, and that kind of defeats the whole object of the place. So it was important to get stuck in and get the rest of the work done and get it all finished for the end of March. First job was to get the actual decking down, and it's a fairly quick and easy thing to do once you've got all the joists in level and the spacing's about right. The sheets are 8 foot by 2 foot chipboard with tongued and grooved edges on them, so it slots together well enough, and I think there are about 14 sheets up there, so it was pretty much a morning's work to get those in. Not a lot of cutting involved, because it was 4.2 meters wide by the time I'd finished. I left it to overhang slightly so that we got an extra bit of floor space upstairs, if you like, although the machine room downstairs is only 4 meters wide. It was just a simple cut on a couple of the lengths, and I've got to come back where all the XXX marks are, is where there's no support underneath, because that's where the stairwell is going to come up, but I was going to cut those once that was finished. So when that was done, the guys started to put some of the insulation into the roof, and I'm carrying on then getting the first stair string in so that we can set out the stairs. There's a bit of thinking to be done to get whether or not I had 12 or 13 steps. It makes the staircase steeper to have 12, and it's probably harder for us to get up and down, but if you have 13 like I ended up with, it makes it a longer staircase, so there's a bit of thinking in there to be done first. So day 15, I think. Just come in on a day when there's nobody in, which is good. I've got two options usually on these days. I can either just get on with work and rip through something like getting the walls up or the deck on or something like that, or I can just have a day like today when I can just sort out the odd problem and reflect on things a bit and just think it through a bit more. I've got a couple of minor problems which I need to resolve, and I can just have a bit of quiet time to do that. So first of all, it doesn't matter how much time I spend measuring and planning, when you actually get to the real world, you find that the carefully laid plans you have bring the top of the staircase there when in fact the deck is up there. So I've just got to measure up how much that is out. It's about 50 mil by the look of it, and then we can resolve that by just adding a little bit onto each tread. So yeah, I'm 55 mil out, so I've got to divide that by 13 and just raise each one of these treads. So that's the first problem. Second one is that at the bottom of the staircase, I'm going to have, when I put the other string on, it's going to be about 675 wide. Now I carried that beam up and ran it across the joist, so it should be parallel all the way through to there. But by the time I get up the top, that gap is considerable, well, a bit more. It's about, let's have a look. It's going to be about 720. So I've got to decide whether or not I keep the staircase parallel and block out on this side, or whether I make the staircase get slightly wider as it goes up. This is all down to the fact that the walls are all over the place because the room isn't square. Nothing is that we've started with is square, so we've had to fudge it a bit. So I'll have a think about that one as well. So it's just good to have that quiet time to do that. Right, that's got the other stair string in. I've decided where it's got to go. The tread of that first step will be about there. So that's working out okay, I think. A little bit of tidying up to do on that, but it's the same width at the top as it is at the bottom, and we'll then make the treads, make the sides strings work. Could probably do with a bit of cleaning up. They were sawn timber, but I think with a bit of a sand before we get too far in we'll be okay. It needs a block in between the joist and the string at the top on that side. I've got one in temporarily on that side, but we'll tidy that up later. And then the only other question is how I deal with the understairs part. This is going to be slightly encroaching on, well, one of the doors. I can get a 762 door in that side without any problem. We put a double door in, or I put a double door in here purely and simply because even with that headroom taken out, it means we can get a big machine in and out, rather than trying to get it through a standard doorway. But then that leaves the question of what we do underneath the stairs, whether I leave it fully open or whether I put a bit of a wall up. I could do with, I've got a wall in above it really to isolate it from the machine room itself. And it's a question of whether I hang that wall structure off the joist and just sheet it in, or whether I come down to the ground with it and make a bit of a cupboard underneath the stairs. I need to think about that one. But the strings are parallel, level, so that's been a worthwhile hour or two getting that sorted. Right, end of week 6. By this time the place is starting to get the first fix electrics in. The guys are working on that. They've put insulation up in the roof space for me, which has been useful, and some of the panelling is going onto the walls. I'm getting that a little bit further advanced. Staircase, I've got the blocks in for the treads and starting to get that working, and the rudimentary electrics are starting to get used, if you like. We've only got one LED light in there at the moment, but one is better than nothing, and it's certainly an improvement on the pretty rubbish lighting that there had been up until that point. Of course, putting the floor on made it even worse, and we were working off task lighting rather than the finished LED lights. But the machine room itself is starting to work. Staircase treads have all been cut roughly to shape, and the stair treads are all pretty much there now, and we're starting to get something like what I had a vision of in the first place. I took the treads home purely and simply because it was easier to work on my own router at the time just to get the bullnose on the stair treads. So we took them home and did them one Sunday morning, and then a few days later those were starting to get fixed. Got all the panelling into the walls now on the top half as well. Stair treads going in, stair wall that is a barrier for sound between the main workshop and the machine room is starting to go in, and it's starting to get there. I put some railings up to stop people, or a start of putting those on to stop people falling off. Right, a bit of a tidy up today, but we've got on quite a long way. We've got all of the panelling done to the main walls round there. Still a little bit more to do there, but I'm running out of sheets of MDF. I've got to do all the ceiling as well. There's 6 there, and I've only got 7 left, and there's still all this bit to do as well. So there's some more sheets of that needed. But we've now got a functioning workspace. Again, by now it's starting to come together quite well. I had a hand to get some of the panelling up, and the electrician put all the LED lights in, and cars keep coming in with stuff. I found a load of doors on Facebook Marketplace free for collection in Bromsgrove, so popped round and got those, and they're going to form the basis of the 3 entry doors we needed. I've got a couple of extra ones. I wasn't sure whether we want one on the lathe room or not, and there is also a possibility of putting them upstairs for protecting the main wall from stuff being lent against it. But by now, as you can see, I think it's starting to look a little bit like a machine room. Not quite there yet, but certainly when I'm getting a to-do list that I can cross things off, I'm beginning to get a clue that we're getting towards the end of it, certainly as far as I'm concerned. Some of the shedders have clad the outside of the walls with some spare laminate flooring that we had left, and we're getting a little bit of order into the place. The wall is now into the staircase, and I've got to build a timber rack underneath the stairs, but that's for a future date. Main workshop is looking tidier, and again all the work that was done on the lathe room is getting towards completion. Upstairs I've got the handrails pretty much all the way around, so that if anybody's doing anything now they're not going to fall over the edge. And we've started to move some of the racking from downstairs upstairs, all part of getting it back to some sort of normality. And once again, more material coming in. We must have had 15 or 20 carloads of timber to sort of build this space and to fit it out and give us some stock for future. And I'm starting to cut up some of the 3x3s and 4x3s here to make architraves and framing bits, door frames, and starting to test out that the place actually works like we intended it to. Okay, so Monday before our official opening on Friday. We're not going to get the walls painted, I don't think, but I'm hoping I'll get the wall finished over there, get the door head in. I've got 3 doors hung, which is the ones that we need on the place itself. They need a little bit of easing here and there, but I'm waiting for things to just finish moving around because this timber is quite wet, a lot of it, so there's a bit of work to be done there. But at least we've got barriers for noise to keep the noise out of the main workshop area. So yeah, and it functions well as a machine room. We've been using it quite a lot today. That's going well. Just got to sort the head out. Stairs, got the handrails in on Friday. Still a bit of work to do on the top. I want to just make that the same depth all the way up, but ran out of timber. We'll sort that out. All the edge parts are in to stop stuff falling off, apart from that corner there that I've just got to sort out and do something to. Probably use that cut down piece over there. And then we can start getting all the racking and everything back up here, take my bits and pieces back home. All the handrails are in, they all want cleaning up and sanding and rounding off, but they're safe and that's the important thing. Got the bulkhead light in that was needed because it was a bit dark in this area. And all the lathe room is now again ready to paint. Outside we're starting to clear up. That wants a good paint. But that's pretty much finished now. You can see where the floor level at that side and big gap there, same there. So we're going to need to sand the floor a bit there, or sand the door under the floor. But again, I'm not too worried. The main job was to get these hung. That one will be fixed all the while. The only reason I put a double door in there was to get the big machines in and out if we need to get new machinery in or get the old stuff out, whereas a narrow door you struggle to get stuff through. So that one will remain fixed, get a bolt on the top, and the other one will effectively be a fire exit. We've got the wiring in for the sign above. So that's all done. So we're getting there slowly. Main workshop's looking a lot tidier now. Getting lights over all the benches. Just need to sort this area out now, which is to be a plywood store, and I'd like to join the 2 sides together at some point. We've got the timber for it, but we're going to wait for the dust extraction stuff to decide what we're doing up there.
So for Bromsgrove and for the Shedders, we would like to open this beautiful new place.
So after a successful day opening the shed up, we're on now to living with it on a daily basis and doing all the final tidying up that we need, painting and last minute twiddles and things like that. But the shed is now, as far as I'm concerned, finished. Certainly not 3 days a week needed anymore. And we had a really good opening with quite a lot of people there and a successful morning. Right, so there we are. As I said at the beginning, it's not finished yet. There's a whole load of work to do, but I'm certainly not going to be going down there every 2 or 3 days for the next few weeks. I'm going to be doing my normal stint on a Monday and probably fitting odd days in and out. Most of the work that's got to be done now is things like painting and that the guys can get on with as and when they want to. It hasn't stopped the place working. Month on, it is working. It's working well. We've got a decent sort of flow of work through the place, and so far, touch wood, no great snags that we've found in the layout that we've got. It's given us about twice the space that we had before around the machines, and the storage upstairs we'll find out this weekend, because this week we're going to be actually moving all the stuff out of the container over the other side of the road and bringing it all back over into the shed. So upstairs will no doubt be in chaos, but again, it's all ready for them now, and we can get on and live in the space for a bit. So I hope the video was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next time when we'll be doing something different in the shed. I'll see you then. Bye.